consistent. You know what I mean? Like, and charge people a shit ton of money for it because you're so cutting edge. It's like, nah, man, you ain't cutting edge. You just a bad cook with a new toy. Uh, 3D pancake printers on the week 2 weeks ago. Turns out it's a real machine. Yeah. That was wasting time, Karmic. But that's different though. It's more. It's not like a 3D. It's more of it's doing a picture. So it's like, you know. So I won't call that 3D. Printers out. Yeah, and it's a printer, but it's not a 3D printer, right? A print dessert and just look like something a child made. What's the word? Bougie. Yeah, it's bougie for sure. But it's also like they're trying to be. There was a chef. There still is a chef that was basically what the Noma chef is now, and his name was Ferran Adria. And back in the early 2000s, he was the gastronomical genius that pushed what it meant to like have a meal, right? Gels, like foams. If you could think about it, that's what those motherfuckers were doing, and it was crazy. El Bulli, yeah, El Bulli was the name. I've got the cookbook. And it closed down. Why did it close down? Because that's what all restaurants do in the long run who do meals like that. Noma is not long for this world. It was the best restaurant for a very long time. He was doing some amazing stuff, and he still is. But the long and the short of it is their practices are not. You can't maintain that. You can't maintain that. That's just what it is. So eventually they'll go down for one reason or another. But El Bulli, if you look it up, Ferran Adria, he was the fucking guru for a short period of time. And then Noma came into effect and changed the game again by doing what it does. Like, they're doing some crazy shit. And they always will. They've done pop-ups in different parts of the world. But they became a place where people went. That was in Spain. But the shorthand that they had for all the ingredients and everything like that, it was nuts. It would pancake. You're absolutely right. It would be crazy to be able to keep that going forever in a way that benefited not only the restaurant as a business, but also benefited the people that were going there in regards to food and like trends and all that. That's the thing about these restaurants that change the game. Eventually, someone's going to change the game, and so you have to change your game to theirs or mix yours with theirs. Start doing collab. You always have to evolve as a chef, and if you don't, as far as how the world works, if like Gordon Ramsay exists because he's marketed himself to be his brand to withstand any trend. He can adapt trends into his own stuff while still doing his classics because that's how he's built his empire, right? Not all restaurants build themselves like that. Some restaurants will just never be close to that. What made him cry in public TV? Well, I'm pretty sure the devil in the kitchen made little Gordon Ramsay at the time cry a bit more than that. There are stories of Marco Pierre White beating the shit out of his cooks, like literal fist fights in the back to, be like, look, I need you to do, I'm not going to do it that way. Literal fist fights. Healthy competition can make better food, at least. No, yeah, healthy competition, that's not even a thing. Yeah, pictures of me getting bitch slapped. I mean, guys, you can go, God damn, this fly. It's just everywhere, just hovering. You can watch old videos on YouTube of Marco Pierre White's cooking show that he had. There was a segment where he did, where he did like quick little demos, and they aired them and all that kind of stuff. But if you look in the background, there is Gordon Ramsay. but he's sweet in his videos. Pancake, read the book, Devil in the Kitchen. Read the book, Devil in the Kitchen. In fact, if anybody in here is involved in food or you love food or whatever, read the book, Devil in the Kitchen. You want to talk about the guy that was doing crazier shit than Anthony Bourdain? You want to talk about the guy that literally trained Gordon Ramsay and how Gordon Ramsay made his personality based on Marco Pierre White? How he talked to his kitchen like members during service is how Gordon Ramsay treated all of those people. Since you arrived in Las Vegas or heard anything about it, Morimoto's? Yes, I mean I've heard of Morimoto's before. There's a few different sites for Morimoto's, but I have not been to it. No. Add it to your book list. It's a good read. It's a good read. It's a quick read. If you like Bourdain's writing, you'll like this. It's the same thing, but Marco Pierre White wasn't writing before Bourdain, but that essence of Kitchen Confidential, that's what this book is. And it's, he talks about his time and his relationship with Gordon. He talks about a relationship that he had with Michael Caine back in the day. Like him and Michael Caine were like business venture partners on like restaurants and all that kind of stuff. And they had a huge falling out because Michael Caine, also a fucking like crazy badass individual.
Cheers.
Just be you. Hello, my love. Hi, baby
God
love.
bless you.
What time we got? I have a timer, because what time is it, 11:43? Yeah, Sirius about to get his other pills. He's been chilling by the front door. He's just waiting for you. He's like, I don't give a shit about what's going on. Where's my mom? Les's scary, man, but you really duck and learn. Dutch TV chef was like that. Yeah, there's a lot of chefs like that. There's a lot of fucking chefs like that. Is it a healthy and good way to do it? No. Does it produce extremely hard discipline chefs because it's like you were trained military style? Yes. But overall, again, because then you get Marco Pierre right in those videos where he's like, oh yes, it's a lovely dish. Get that for me. But he says it in a way that if you read that book, because he talks about some of those videos in that book, if you read that book and you hear him talk to the cooks and the quick tone that just slightly changes when he talks to them. When he talks to his cook, it's the same tone that you would think an abusive father uses when company is around. Or an abusive parent in general. That is the tone that they use, where everybody's kind of like, that was a little sharp. That was a little sharp. You know what I'm saying? That's the vibe that I get from it. And Gordon Ramsay was probably fucking traumatized, and then he cashed in on that trauma by enforcing it on others. See, and that's how trauma works. If you want to know true trauma, watch Gordon Ramsay videos while reading the Devil in the Kitchen. I love you, bye. Everybody say bye, Just Be You. Just Be You's at work. Crushing.
God bless
Computer
you.
finally restart. Oh, were you just on your phone? Oh, I have not watched it yet. But I do know it's basically like, it's a very dark comedy. A very dark
God
comedy.
bless you.
And they based that chef on a combination of like David Barber, Thomas Keller, Rene Redzepi. You know, they based this chef on like a huge amount of different chefs. That's what we call a humble brag. Jess just did there. Oh, damn it. My meeting with the CEO got moved again. This busy life I live. Don't even try to deny it. Don't you try to deny it, wife of mine. God damn it, I love you. You humble brag. You humble brag, you. Just doing boss bitch things. That's right. You can say boss bitch. You don't need to hide. All right, let's talk about this sauce. Okay? Jess, we have more adobo onions because I made some with our pork short ribs or pork country ribs today. Just so you know. Okay, bye. Bye, boss bee wife. She is though. Don't get it twisted. Jess is a boss bee. When we moved out here, that was the beginning of Jess BU's boss bee arc. Okay? That's what that was. There we go.
Smoke weed every day.
Oh, we're close. We're close to 420 in that weird part of the world, Newfoundland. Sorry, that came out wrong. Newfoundland, you're not a weird part of the world. It's just the time zone is very obscure. I'm sorry, Newfoundland. That was mean. That did not come out the way I wanted it to. All right, so we've got butter cut up to mount into our sauce. But we're going to be doing that dead last. We've got scallion for our rib as a topper. Let's also get out. Ew. Let's get out a little chili flake. I want a little spice, damn it. Let's get some white sesame seeds, some black sesame seeds. We're going to mix this up with our scallion. I think that's it. I don't really have anything else like fried garlic or anything right now. We do have some breadcrumbs left over. That might be good. Let's do that. All right. Look, we don't need a lot. We just need a little. All right. Happy 420. You strange time zone. You're not the strange one, but your time zone is. Happy 420, y'all. Happy 420, y'all. Wacky Welsh legend. All right. Black sesame seed. Roasted white sesame seed. Red pepper flake. Twist my arm. Yeah, exactly. Twist my arm, why don't you? Salty corn chip, how you doing? Good to see you. All right, and there we are. That's going to be our crispy, crunchy topper. And then, here's the next move we're going to do. I'm going to mix the onion in there later, but for right now, we'll just put this off to the side. We are going to take out our rib that I just put in the oven right now. Did I really not have? Stupid. All right. Now, this is a fun move that I like to do when we're doing individual stuffs like this. Whoa. This has brown sugar. This has vinegar. This has soy. So what we're going to do is we're just going to do a nice little glazy glaze on it while we reduce the rest of the sauce. Oh, yeah. And what we're going to do now, besides put away our ingredients that we don't need, is taste everything, get our plate, and then we're going to plate this up. We're gonna just do it up, because we gotta taste it. Taste everything before you plate. Everything has to be seasoned properly. You know what I'm saying? Collard greens first. Let's see. Let's get a good bite of this collard greens. It needs a touch more salt. I don't want this to be too acidic because the sauce that we're doing over this, you know, so we'll see. Rice would screw it up. You're kind of dead on there. I measured it because I was like, this has to fit 36. This has to fit 36 spices. And it does. So with the tomato, like whenever you get a side of vegetables, it's always marinated tomatoes and cucumber, like at a Filipino restaurant. And so, oh yeah, there we go. That salt really helped. That salt really helped. So I don't want to make this like overly vinegar because we have our adobo sauce that we're doing right now. Okay, but that's good. I'm happy with the flavor of that. Let's try our brown rice congee. Congee is basically you're just making a very overcooked porridge, right? So this has kind of a dashi that we made, but not really. It is veg stock, mushrooms, and bonito. I took the mushrooms out because they were just dehydrated, hydrated them in the liquid, took them out, chopped them up, put them in with the brown rice. That's fucking delightful. Definitely some salt. So I have this soy lime vinegar, this is a Filipino product. So this is actually really fucking good. Dehydrated water, hello there. Looks scrumdiddlyumptious. I appreciate that. So because we're not putting any vinegar in the in our collard greens, I'm just gonna put the vinegar in here. A little soy and lime. Yo, I fucking did it. You don't need a lot. That was fucking good. Ooh, that's good. Yeah, just a little acidity. Just a little acidity. Dehydrated water. I hope you're doing well. Okay, so brown rice congee. If you ever had congee before, it's super easy to make, and it's just a great like base flavor. You can add so much to this and do so much with it. So, always play with your food. Oh, I was talking about it earlier. I keep getting distracted. Okay. I don't know if the title would be offensive or not, but I want to do a fusion thing because we're doing all these different shows right now, like segments for the stream. And I was like, would confusion, is that a good name for it? I feel like confusion. Because it's like, this dish is confusing, like we're confusing some flavors and we're making it into fusion. It's not confusing once you eat it, but you know, it's like we'd have to have like a motto for it or something like that. Just rather hungry. That's fair. You know what they say? You know what they say about food and drink streams? Bring snacks. Bring snacks. Trust. Trust. All right. Beautiful. I just don't know. You know, for that kind of thing, I'm like, I don't want anybody thinking that I'm ragging on fusion food or anything like that. But it's just like confusion. We're taking a lot of flavors that for other, because I've done some fusion cooking before, and people are definitely coming in like, why are you doing it like that? Dazed and confused. Oh, God. Yo, that's fucking it. Dazed and confusion. What if we did that? Dazed and confusion.